give a warm round of applause to Mrs. Joy Milton.
Thank you, thank you. And before I even need my slides, I wanted to point out, obviously, I heard a lot of product-focused audience members. So I want to try to tailor what I'm sharing from a B2C perspective, although I think we're also going to share some information that will be relevant in a B2B environment as well. Thank you. And I'm really excited that I've got a clicker. Normally this is the clicker, but now I've got an official clicker. One of the things I want to share is that marketing automation has applications and benefits to a variety of departments, let's say, within your organization, even if you're an organization of one. So if you wear all the hats, you're doing sales and you're doing marketing and you're managing the finance and all that, you know, think about marketing automation and how it applies to each of the different parts of your business. And let me describe what I mean. Because it's called marketing automation doesn't necessarily mean it's only relevant for the marketing department or the marketing person or when you have your marketing hat on. It also is absolutely relevant in sales. How do you know who to sell to? If you have a database of names, which ones are completely uninterested? Which ones are interested now? Which ones are interested in a few weeks, in a few months? And if you're, and I'll say this, if you're in the C-level, if you're concerned about finance or operations, budgets, ROI, what I want you to be thinking about is, will this make us more money? If we invest the time and in the technology that we need to make this work for us, am I going to get more sales out of it? Is it going to work for me? So please, I encourage you, one of the things I love about DaVinci is the ability to have an interactive discussion. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I know I can speak for all the speakers here. We're fairly seasoned, and so if you have questions, it certainly won't trip me up if you say, Joy, but wait, I don't understand what you mean by that. Could you please describe that? I apologize. I will tell you right now, I speak really fast. So please come grab me at a break. Please see me afterwards. All my information is here for you to take. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, please don't hesitate. Don't be shy. And I know DaVinci, I don't know any shy people in DaVinci, so that'll be good. Okay, some of the things we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to go fast because I want to give plenty of time to the other speakers. I'd love for you to just listen to me for 4 hours. As fun as that would be, we're not going to do that. I have put together an amazing lineup of speakers today because I know you don't just need to hear from me. You need to hear from the technology platforms that are shaping marketing automation, the consultants who work with all size organizations to have more effective marketing automation campaign strategy, people who are applying it to B2B, people who are applying it to B2C, and of course, Steve, who gets the dubious honor of being the data guy, who, you know, if you don't start with good data, the rest of your marketing automation strategy will probably falter. So I've tried to put together a group of great and expert speakers, so I'm not going to take a lot of time. What I am going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a sprinting overview of marketing automation. So for those of you who are really coming in completely unarmed with information, I want to be able to give you a little bit of a foundation before the rest of the folks speak. Why do pipelines leak? So most companies spend a lot of time and money up here pushing stuff in the front of their pipeline. The red guys are guys who will eventually become sales. Look at everything that dumps out. Are these guys just lost, gone, forever? How many of you may have a database of names? And I'm not going to force you to raise your hand, but every day I talk with clients and prospects who say, well, I have a list of 4,000 names. What do I do? Do we just go get new leads? Do I just scrap those? And what we say is, absolutely not. And I listen to Michael Ward all the time, and he shares something that I think you all ought to write down. Anyone who has ever been a prospect or a customer before can be again. And not only can they be a prospect and a customer, they can be a repeat customer. They can be a referral source. So that is one good way. If you maintain a relationship with them, that's a great way for you to ensure that they will become customers, stay customers, and become referral partners for you as well. One of the things that I think is so critical about these lost opportunities is, you know, you can't win them all. But maybe their timing wasn't right. Maybe they didn't have the budget. Maybe they didn't understand the need at that time. But if you do a good job of maintaining a relationship, and for those of you wearing all the hats at once, you don't have time to personally spend time nurturing your leads. Let me say that again. As small business owners, I'm just going to keep it real. We all like to stay busy and act like we're busy, but are we really busy doing income-producing activities? I want you to really question yourself on that, because what marketing automation can do is supply a technology that will do some of the nurturing for you, so you're focused on the things that only you can do in your business right at this moment. I'm going to skip over this. Marketing automation, is a strategy that employs a technology platform that can identify, score, qualify, and nurture your prospects in an automated fashion. So if you want to just kind of know at a high level what marketing automation is, I believe it is a strategy. It uses a technology as a platform to deliver the automation that enables you to nurture your leads. So what's the problem? Problem typically, and these things that are swirling around you, if you're a marketer, these things are absolutely buzzing around you like an atom, electrons in an atom. If you're a business owner, throw double or triple those amount of things swirling around your head, because you're worried about payroll, product, manufacturing, compliance, legal over there, Phil. So, you're thinking about all these different things that you need to do. Specifically to marketing, you're probably using an email. How many of you are using an email platform? iContact, Constant Contact. You guys are using an email. How many of you are sending out blast emails? Newsletter? All right. How many of you look at your Google Analytics or another analytics package? Okay. How many of you use CRM? How many of you are logging into different systems for everything you do? See what I mean? We've got a lot going on, and if you're like me, you have 20 tabs open on Firefox, and you're flipping back and forth between them, trying to integrate the information and understand. There's a better way, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So one of the things we want to do with marketing automation is bring it all into alignment. So your reporting all makes sense because everything flows into one place that you know where to look. Are you creating different landing pages? Shame on you, let me smack your hand if you're trying to use a website that is not dynamic. If you're trying to use a website as a tool that doesn't have specific and relevant and customized information, see me after this class. Of course, as I said, you're looking at analytics. Visitor tracking is certainly very, very relevant from a B2B perspective. Where it's relevant if you're a product company is if you have a loyalty database. Corey's going to talk a little bit about that, and I may have him up on the panel a little later. Be sure, if you are curious, if you have a product and are curious about a loyalty email program, he is the expert. Please see him afterwards. A couple of data points that I want to share quickly. 2 to 5% of companies are using marketing automation. What does that mean to you? It means you have a big opportunity. If you look around in your competitive space, it probably means that your competitors aren't doing it. So why don't you beat them to the punch? The other one, 9 out of 10 companies struggle with exactly what you're sitting here with. How do I do it all? Oh, see, you gotta watch me, I'm a waiver. You gotta watch me. See, they didn't sit in the front row because they're like, I didn't want to get, like this goes flying out of my hands. So 9 out of 10 companies are struggling with exactly what you're struggling with here, so you're not alone. But the good news is you've got smart people in this room that are developing technology and methodologies and strategy to help you with that. Now this one is the interesting one. This is saying that 1 out of 4 leads gets accredited to marketing professionals. I don't believe that. I believe what we marketers do a bad job of is proving that we developed and qualified that lead because we don't have good information. And I'm hearing an amen, and I love it. Feel free to say amen. Preach it. Preach on, sister. So, we're all trying and struggling, and so that's why you're here. So this is interesting. Marketing automation is becoming the vogue because people want to decrease their customer acquisition costs. Obviously, visibility in the sales pipeline is critical. We see how we got them in there usually, and we see what falls out the bottom. We really don't see what happens in the middle that got them to the close. Marketing automation can help us with that. And this one, I can't believe it's the lowest. Inability to engage prospects with relevant messages. If I were to have a conversation with you, Mike, and you were to say, and we were to meet in a sales environment, right? And I would just go, Mike, access marketing is great. Thanks, it's nice, because we do so much amazing stuff. That's what we do when we send out blast emails. We close our eyes and our ears and we yell. We're so great. Oh my gosh, you should buy our stuff. Instead of saying, Mike, we've got a great product. I think you should consider the 5 top tips on improving your marketing strategy. Are you interested in something like that? See? So instead of just screaming at him, I'm engaging him. I'm trying to figure out what makes him tick, trying to figure out what his pain points are so I can start to have a dialogue. I love this one. The old way, in black and white. The old way. however a prospect gets to you, you met them at an event and sent them to a landing page, you got an email marketing campaign, you used SEO or pay-per-click, in whatever way, they come to your website, they fill out a form. If you're like most people, you may have those lists in 5 different places. They aren't aligned, which Steve's going to love. You got all your lists all over the place, you don't know what you're doing, and then you send out one big blast email and you feel like you've really accomplished something. That's the way we have been working. The good news about today is you're going to do it differently. Same prospect who you don't know fills out a form. Now, you're going to actually do something with all this personally identifiable information, and you're going to watch what she does when you send her things and when you engage with her, either through direct mail, email, phone calling, in whatever way you engage. And then finally, you know when her timing is right. So on the product side, you know when to send her a coupon, or when to offer a big sale, or when to ask her for a referral. On the B2B side, when you've got big complex sales cycles where you're selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product or service in the telecom space, right? You're selling typically big ticket items, and you're trying to figure out, are they ready now? Am I going to bother them now if I call them today? You know, that's what we can help you figure out with marketing automation. How is marketing automation different than an email service provider? It's funny, Matt Gibbon and I were having a funny conversation about the way that we articulate the differences between what people are used to and what marketing automation is. And what I like to say is email service provider, iContact, Constant Contact, they're all great. They're great. It's like a Toyota Corolla, right? It goes from here to there. You got to kind of do this on the window, you know, but it goes from here to there. It gets good gas mileage, cost, you know, low cost. That's cool if that's what you want to do. If all you want to do is do this, my stuff's really great, oh my gosh. That is perfect for you, and it's low cost. If you want to actually have a marketing strategy that includes an actual dialogue or replicates a dialogue with your prospects, knowing when they're ready, knowing when to send them offers, seeing what happens on your website after they click through the email, then you need to get my little Maserati over here, which I'm excited about, is marketing automation. Now you might be saying, do I already use Google Analytics? Why do I need marketing automation? Because a big part of marketing automation is the reporting and the tracking, correct? So Google Analytics is great for if you want to see the big picture. Pretty charts and graphs. I'm not even going to try to lie. I love Google Analytics. Great charts and graphs. But I can't see what an individual does. Corey Hanzo's managed a 1 million-person email loyalty program, right? Google Analytics is great for him to see the big picture, but how does he know when to send somebody a coupon about which product specifically? Google Analytics is not going to tell him that. Marketing automation will. So, I'll skip this slide. So, one of the things that I'm so excited about, and I got to talk fast, is faster. Let me change that. Faster is we're saying 97% of your leads are not ready right now. They'll probably buy. They're interested. It's either they don't have the right timing, they don't have the budget, they thought they needed it, but they really needed something else. A lot of different things. So they go into the top of that funnel, and they're kind of swimming around in the middle of there. And because we're all guilty of shiny object syndrome, I don't care who you are, because you pour leads in the top and you get all excited about the new leads. And then, of course, you get all excited about the people who are about to buy. But you completely forget, in most cases, about the people, those nice people in the middle. They're so nice. I mean, you just gotta talk to them and get them excited by engaging them with different types of information. How about some video? Right? How many of you have produced a video lately? Kudos to you. I should have known in DaVinci I'd have some video hands. So, you know, how about a video message? How about a coupon? How about an offer? How about a tips guide? How about the worst mistakes you could ever make and how to never make them again type tips guide? So you're going to engage them with content and then watch what they do so that then you can engage with them later. All right, so this one, I'm not even going to steal Steve Jude's thunder. He actually was the one who gave me this great stat, which is studies show that nearly 2/3 of your leads aren't ready but will be within the year, and they're going to buy from someone. How can you ensure it's going to be with you? By having that dialogue that we just showed with Mike. So this is one of the slides that I absolutely, absolutely love. Is marketing automation right for your business? This is probably the most important slide we can cover during my little time here. Everybody in here, I think most everybody in here said they were sending emails, right? If you're sending emails and you want a better way to do it, this is the place. Let me not lie to you. Marketing automation takes thought and planning and strategy. And if you are like me, you just want to go, go, go. I don't want to think. I don't want to plan. I just want to go. You will struggle with marketing automation. So I encourage you, if you already know that about you, if you're an entrepreneur and you already know that about yourself, then I encourage you to find one of our speakers, get in this room. There's a lot of really smart people who can help you with the planning part of it. If you think you're cool to manage it once someone helps you plan it, great. But just know that I wish I could give you a magic pill and say marketing automation is just the solution, and once you sign up for whatever I'm selling, you're going to make millions of dollars. It's not the case. It is the Maserati, but you got to be able, actually I say it's a NASCAR speed car, where I wouldn't even know what to do when I got into one of those. I could put on the cool suit with the helmet and the thing, you know, and get in, but I wouldn't know what to do. So one of the things, we want to leave you with some actionable tips today, but please do not get discouraged today if you do not leave here a marketing automation expert. It took Matt Givens a good 2 weeks to be, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so the other one is it valuable for you to identify who's on your website? And I would say absolutely in every case it is. Meaning, what I love about this is if you're selling a product and you've sent out an email campaign to these people and they click through, the cool part about marketing automation is now you know forever who they are. When they come back, you'll know if they come back and don't buy something this time, and to send them a special offer. You'll know, Corey Hunt's like, I hate to keep picking on you, but you've got some great stuff to say, which is, you'll know if they get through part of the shopping cart and then abandon, and you want to send them something to get them back. So, and then finally, this is the big one, handing off sales and marketing. Sales will scream, marketing isn't giving us good enough leads, you know? And marketing will say, yes, I am, you're just crappy at sales. Right? And that is like the age-old fight between sales and marketing. And so what marketing automation can do is come in and be the peacekeeper between the two so that marketing is able to deliver better quality leads to sales, and then sales can work them and have no excuses. So I'm going to skip all this. It's relevant for various sizes, but I'll talk with you if you're curious about how it's relevant for you. For most of us, we're in the smaller size line item here. The thing you want to pick in a marketing automation technology and a strategy is simplicity and mobility. So can you mobilize on your strategy, and do you have a platform that is simple and easy to use? Personally, that's why I asked Michael Ward to be here today. Net Results, for me, of all the marketing automation platforms we use, is the easiest, especially if you're a small business. All right, I've already kind of talked about this, so I'm going to skip it. And then this is my glossary of terms. I will make this deck available to you afterwards in case you're like, she went through that faster than a speeding bullet, and you actually want this information. I'll definitely make this available via SlideShare afterwards. Real quickly, I'm going to open it up for a couple of quick questions, and then I want to get Mike Ward up here. Yes, Gordon.
Well, for our product, an important part of this is to sell to scrapbookers and crafters. And they're very connected with Facebook and things like that. How do I integrate, or maybe as we cover later on, what I get from leads or the conversation in the social networks with my email campaigns and other sorts of sale-oriented?
I'm going to let Matt speak on that a little bit. If we don't have a chance to cover that, Matt, and yours, I'm going to talk about it a little bit afterwards, because Corey would probably be a good one to speak with on that as well. So we will cover that. Because I think you're right. One of the things you want to do is all the ways that you're popping leads into the top of that funnel, you want to try to integrate them into one communication strategy. So yes, that question will be answered, yes.
Say I'm building startup companies, and I want to make sure I'm building startup companies all day, every day, and I always need to budget accurately for stuff like this.
Your firstborn.
I mean, yeah.
Just your firstborn.
I mean, what's the real cost? You know.
It's going to depend on the platform you choose. So you've got some that will sink your whole budget, and you've got some that are really affordable. Again, I don't want this to be a commercial for Net Results specifically, but I am a big Net Results champion specifically because it's pretty cost effective. You're talking hundreds a month, a few hundred to several hundred, depending on the size email list, how many emails you send. So I would say that there are other solutions out there, and I don't know that price should be the driving force behind what you choose, but know that there are options from a whole array of providers out there, and if cost is the biggest factor, I'd encourage you to look.
Well, I mean, and because right now, I mean, if I'm trying to budget to go raise money, right, and I want to ask somebody for $1.5 million, and all of a sudden you're going to tell me it's going to cost me $250,000 to do this, and I didn't budget for that, that's pretty significant.
Sure, I totally agree. One thing I will warn is the platform, and Matt is going to cover this. The platform is one part of it, and then you got to figure out what goes with it. And so you've got to be sure that when you're budgeting for it, you not only budget for the technology, but you also budget for the strategic oversight, the adjusting, tweaking, execution of the strategy if you so choose. Any other questions? Yes.
Cover
So,
that now.
like the past week, I've had somebody hit in Indianapolis, day after day after day after day. What you're saying is this would actually tell me who that is? And, no?
Spence, have you sent them an email before that they've interacted with?
No, this is just on Google Analytics where you can look and see where your website hits are.
So this won't give you that magic looking glass to show you a personally identifiable information unless they've already filled out a form, interacted with an email, and what have you. It can tell you, though, for example, your Indianapolis person, you can start to potentially put together a specific email to your database of Indianapolis leads or what have you to try to engage whoever that is that's coming to you. Do you also use live chat? You don't use live chat. So one other way to do that if you want to proactively engage your web traffic is utilize a tool like, well, and I know WebRecept, which is the sponsor of DaVinci. They'll actually manage live chats for you if you want. Or you can use a tool like LivePerson, Bold Chat, what have you. You can actually engage a visitor who's on your site even if you don't know who they are. That's different than marketing automation. I'm sorry, let me just be sure to
Is
clarify.
that what's on your website where that you
Web
click on
recept.
and that little guy comes across and going,
By the way,
okay.
your live chat doesn't have to do that. You can make it do whatever it wants. Okay, I'm going to stop, but you'll hear from me a little later. Right now I'm going to have Michael Ward come up. I've known Michael for, good grief, 5 or 6 years. And he and I actually worked together about 5 or 6 years ago. And Michael was excited because there was a visitor tracking platform that was really cool, that was very applicable in the B2B space. Because in the B2B space, you'll not just see that someone's from Indianapolis, you'll see that they're from the Indianapolis Colts, for example. And you probably know, depending on what you sell, who is relevant for you to talk to within the Indianapolis Colts organization for what you do, right? So on the B2B side, there's this visitor tracking component that is so powerful. And what I love about Mike is when I'm not looking, he all of a sudden goes into a dark room, manages a team of developers, and comes up with a product that has all the functionality that we want in the ease of use as a marketer that I need, and as I said, at a price point that I want. But I'm not going to have Mike talk about his product. I want to be sure to say that. You guys can go read the website and talk to his people, go see his people. But the idea here is I want for him to talk about, at a more high level, why marketing automation is so different and important. So Michael Ward of Net Results. And I'm going to
giggling. So, Tatiana Finkelstein here, I heard mention that her salespeople talk to 10 leads every week, and only one of them is ready to really have a conversation that is one that might result in revenue. The other 9, I would suspect, their timing isn't right for some reason. Is that they're potentially good prospects, just not today, right? So I would assert that just about every business is in the same situation. You've got a web business. I know having web businesses, right? Everybody you meet has a website. Everybody you meet, you could end up, I don't know, you said database. If you just do design as well, everybody you meet, I'm going to use you as an example all day long. Everybody that he meets has a website. Everybody that he meets will get it redesigned at some point. Everybody that he meets will need maintenance at some point, and they could buy from him. They could choose him. But at the same time, their timing isn't right at the moment when he meets them, just like Tatiana's. I've met Tatiana once before. That's how I can bust out that name, Tatiana Finkelstein.
You shouldn't have told us that. You'd have like, he's amazing with you.
Anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're in business to business or business to consumer. A huge percentage of the leads of the potential prospects that you encounter are not ready to buy right now. So what does this look like? I like to talk about it in terms of a funnel, right? So here I'm going to draw my big funnel, right? And as Joy mentioned at the start of this talk, companies that are working it will work to pour a lot of leads into the top of the funnel. They build their website, they take the time to get the copy, then they might do a good job or a poor job of SEO, search engine optimization, so that they show up on Google. They may pay for pay-per-click advertisements. They may go to networking events. They may go to trade shows, advertise, television, radio, TV, whatever. They may use social media. They do all these things. All this effort and the money that pays for that effort goes into the top of the funnel. And coming out the very bottom of the funnel, are the hot leads, the ones that you can try to close now, the ones that are ready to talk to you about your product and maybe a proposal, the 1 out of 10 that Tatiana's talking about. I would say that in many cases it's more like 97 out of 100 aren't down at the bottom of the funnel when you encounter those leads. So this means that 90-some% of your leads are, let's take that funnel, all right, let's look down at it from above, right? From above, we see this tiny little hole where people can fall straight through. We see a lot of surface area they can bounce off of. This is where the analogy about the funnel starts to break apart, because in a funnel, everyone ends up coming through the bottom, right? But not in this world. So now let's throw away the funnel for a moment. But all these ones that don't make it to the bottom, for you, their timing isn't right because they're under contract with a competitor. They're happy with their current provider. They just redid their website. There's a million reasons why they're not ready to go right now, right? But if you constantly just deal with leads in the top, grab the ones that come to the bottom and try to close them, I think that's like living paycheck to paycheck for a business, right? You're just trying to generate something and grab these ones. Meanwhile, what's going on with all these, this massive number of leads that come in contact with your company and through one channel or another that aren't ready to do business right now? They get largely ignored in just about every organization I know, right? And the reason is very simple: time and money. We don't have the time and we don't have the money to pay someone to have the time to work with every one of those leads and get to know them. So let's pretend, let's go to magic land where time and money don't matter. What would you do to try to convert as many of these 97% as possible over time, right? The first thing is you'd recognize that it's going to take time. And what would you do? I would take a guess that you'd do exactly what you do in any effective human conversation. Now, this is what marketing automation in my world is an attempt to model. In any conversation with a prospect, with your wife, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, employee, you're going to customize what you say based on who you're talking to and what they're saying to you. It starts with listening, right? Any effective conversation is based on listening. Any great salesperson is going to listen to that prospect, find those pain points, and then customize, talk about the benefits of their product or service in terms of what's important to this customer, right? Like Joy said, you can't just go with the blinders on with prospects. So in a magic world, there's 97% of people. If you were going to treat them properly, you would listen to each one of them, right? And you would talk to them based on what they're telling you and who they are. You would talk to the CEO of a 200-person company or 20,000-person company differently than someone who's just started a business, right? You would talk to maybe a male differently than a female, right? So you would customize what you're saying based on who they are and what you're hearing from them. Now, if you could do that, now let's talk about, let's say, for example, you have how many salespeople? 10. Generating 10 leads a week each, 10% of which are decent, are ready to talk to, right? So you're generating 90 leads per week for how many years now? That, doesn't,
6.
right, so thousands of leads. Mr. Web Developer, sorry, didn't catch, Kevin, it's too easy for me. I needed Tatiana Finkelstein, right?
He's like, I can be Tatiana if you want.
Let's let him, tell us that. Anyway, so how many business owners have you come across that aren't doing business with you right now, that could be, that are spending money on their website? It's massive numbers, right? Even small businesses deal with massive numbers. We have customers that have millions of prospects, right? We have much larger customers as well. But even in the small business, you can if you have 400 prospects that aren't hot right now, can you literally deal with each one of them and bring them along, create a relationship, listen to each one, and customize what you're saying to each one personally? No, because it takes too much time. You can barely do that with 40 prospects, right? So it's very easy to overwhelm your ability to do what you would love to do, which is listen and talk, but if this person's not going to have a need that you can fill for 2 years, it's just not worth your time, right? But what if you could do that or emulate that with technology in an automatic fashion, right? If you could do that, that would be pretty cool. If you could customize it, let's say, take any one prospect. What would you do with this particular prospect? If this person is They just redesigned their website, but they didn't like the experience and they don't want to work with that vendor again, but they're not probably going to touch that thing for 2 to 3 years. Wouldn't it be great if, in a magic world, you could talk to that person on a regular basis, once every couple months, 4 months, to say, hey, just wanted to catch up, grab some coffee, and see how things are going with your business. They might not take you up on that, and you'd say, that's cool. Or you might just send them an email and let them know about some cool sites that you've just launched that are maybe relative to his industry, so you can see how great of a job you're doing. Maybe talk to him about a case study that you've a customer that's had great success because of what you've done for them. And of course, learn from that person what's going on and how their business is evolving, right? So if you were to be able to establish a bit of a relationship with this person, you'd have a great chance of 2 things happening. One, knowing when that person's timing is changing, knowing when it's time for that, say, website redesign, knowing when it's time to talk about telecommunications, when their contract is coming up, when they're whatever, right? Whatever your thing is, you would have a great chance of knowing that their timing is changing. And 2, because you've got a relationship, you're going to have a good chance of having a shot at that business, of being asked for a proposal, as opposed to just whatever. The problem, as you'll find on our website, is hope, right? We meet a lot of we put these people in the top of the funnel, and then we hope that they're hot at the bottom. And if they're not, we have no time to move on. We just move on. So marketing automation is a technology that helps you automate the process of communicating to individuals at an individual level in a way that's relevant to them, right, about your products and services. So let's focus on this word relevance for a moment, because that's, again, marketing automation is not a very complex thing. It can be complex in its implementation, depending on you, but at the core, it's a really simple concept. If I want to do business with Startup Guru, if he wants to do business with me, he might want to learn about my company and the fact that it's not capitalized properly, right? But he's going to have to build a bit of a relationship with me to be able to establish a relationship sufficient to do business. That was kind of a weird way to say that, but whatever. Anyway, in marketing automation, we call it lead nurturing. He's going to have to nurture me over time into somebody that's willing to do business with him, right? And this is all about relevance. It's about what I said at the start. Listen to your prospect individually and communicate in a relevant fashion. So now I'll make a nice analogy to relevance, right? I love this one. The biggest, baddest internet company on the planet is arguably Google, right? And they're generating billions of dollars per quarter in revenue, and yet you never saw an advertisement for Google asking you to use their search engine, and you never saw an advertisement for Google asking you to advertise on Google, right? They never had to do it. They built their entire business model around a single word, that word being relevance, right? They'd said, all right, we're going to make it so that when people search using our search engine, every result they see is relevant to what they searched for the simple reason that the next time you go there, you'll think, wow, I found what I was looking for. I think I'll use that search engine again. They never needed to advertise. They focused on relevance. Then when they rolled out their pay-per-click business model, where they started generating revenue finally, they extended this one-word business model into the revenue side, rewarding advertisers that made sure that every ad that they displayed was relevant to what the consumer wanted to see, to what the consumer searched for. Relevance has worked massively for Google. And that's really, that's their whole business model. Now they've expanded, they've got Gmail and whatever, but still, the relevance of the results you see on Google are the reason that 70% of us use it on an ongoing basis, and the reason they generate all that revenue. If it's working for Google, a simple one-word business model, it can work in your business. And this is the exact problem with email blasts, right? It's the problem with not listening and customizing what you're saying to a prospect based on who they are and what they care about. If you have an easy, automatic way, automatic, don't get me wrong, it doesn't do things for you. It doesn't cook your breakfast, and it doesn't, gin up your sales on its own. You are the one that knows your business. You have to be the one that knows your prospects. You have to be the one that knows what is going to be relevant for them, right? So marketing automation allows you to, instead of treating every one of your prospects the same way, it allows you to watch for what behavioral things are they doing that could indicate that they're ready to move to the next level. What things do you know about them from a data standpoint that would allow you to communicate with them differently. I think I'm pretty short on time, so I'll just say any questions about this conceptual pitch.
Is there a way to easily, okay, so if the salesperson know what's relevant to people and how to approach different segments that we're working with, is it the salesperson that then is sitting there plugging in the stuff to make this work, or can it be split into two functional areas where a salesperson plugs something in and then behind the scenes somebody manages the process of marketing automation?
Yes, either way you want to do it, or yet any other way you want to do it. I would advise that you want to keep your salespeople selling, not running a marketing automation system. So your salespeople are the ones that have the relationships, the face-to-face, they've talked to the person, and once you learn, and it's not a once you learn, it's an ongoing learning evolution, but you make some decisions about, okay, we've got our customers, we could treat them as businesses above this size, maybe this is how we want to talk to them, and businesses less than that size, we'll talk to them this way. That could break down 10 ways based on any number of things that you and your salespeople would know better than anybody else. You want to make sure that the marketing automation system is aware of that. So you've got a drop-down list to categorize them like this, and like this, and like this, right? So you can categorize any given lead in just essentially any way you want to, right? And then you can have someone behind the scenes working to make sure, okay, this segment will deliver this content to, this segment will make this offer to, will ask these questions of, whatever it might be.
A follow-on to her question. I mean, in that circumstance, wouldn't you want to have something where the salesman's updating the CRM system, and then it automatically interfaces with the marketing automation and takes his update on this lead?
In fact, that's exactly how it is.
Right.
That is how it is. A good marketing automation system will allow you to integrate with just about any CRM, and that's something you should look for.
Can I piggyback on that point to say, if any of you are maybe intimidated by having to pay for an additional CRM, if you're a smaller business, most marketing automation platforms can serve as your lead warehouse. That's certainly true of a variety of the ones that we work with as consultants. It's certainly true of Net Results. You can actually keep the lead information inside of Net Results, even if you don't have a separate customer relationship management software.
Or you can use a free one like Sugar.
So conceptually, certainly understand everything that you're saying, but when you're a business, my business model, excuse me, is that I'm a two-person company, but I outsource every component of my business that I need. So I buy what I need. How does that work in my model? I can't talk about other marketing automation vendors, but for ourselves, we have hundreds of partners that are marketing consulting firms that are trained in the use of our product, so you understand, the technology is the easy part of marketing automation, in my opinion. It should be anyway. The technology does what it's supposed to do. The hard part is making those decisions about how to segment and make sure that you're giving the right messaging to the right people at the right time, and how to listen. What could you get from them? What of what they're telling you? They tell you when they view a page, they're telling you something. When they don't click through on an email, they're telling you something. When they respond to a survey, obviously they're telling you very explicit things. You don't have time for these things in your business. Leverage somebody who's there and already trained to be an expert in doing those things, to whatever degree you choose. We have customers that they pay us for the technology and just pay someone to do everything else. We've got customers that bring in a strategist to help implement the system and come up with a strategy, but then they've got people that work the strategy. We've got customers that are in between outside of that where they'll bring in someone to help come up with a strategy. They'll have someone trained in-house to actually use the system tactically, but still leverage a consultant to generate content, copy, white papers, case studies, whatever that might be, for this person to leverage when they actually push the buttons and turn the levers. You with me? And so a follow-up question to that, and this may not be fair to ask, but out of curiosity, what are we talking about in terms of cost for that sort of thing?
Well, that's going to vary vastly based on what you need to do. But from a technology standpoint, our system starts at a ridiculously low price, unbelievable, $99. What's that? Our system is most of the, every marketing automation platform that I'm aware of is software as a service, where you pay a monthly fee to use this platform. For people that do a very small amount of emails per month and don't have a very large number of page views on their website, sounds like there's a lot of that in here, our system can be as low as $99 a month for the platform. And that's more like a self-support model. As far as the consulting aspect, that depends on who you, that's going to vary vastly.
Yeah, I think it's a more fair question to ask one of the consultants in the room, probably.
Yeah, how about that?
I say you have maybe 7 touch points to the customer before they're ready to buy. And so those are different media, either print advertising, online advertising. Can this kind of a marketing automation, use all of those different techniques to touch people from different medias, as well as the electronic website, email campaigns?
You want to use multiple channels to touch a prospect multiple times before they're ready to engage in say a sales conversation, such as online and offline. Can a marketing automation platform marry those things and work across multiple channels? The short answer is yes. The long answer is you've got to be smart about how you're going to use those channels and plan that from the get-go to take advantage of the power that you have in the technology that is marketing automation. Thank you all.
So one thing I'll share, one of the things I really like about Mike is that, for example, Cooling Tower Depot, a great case study for net results. Michael didn't sit down and just decide to come up with a technology. He used technology to solve very specific business problems that his clients were seeing. Who's hitting my website? Who's clicking? What do they do after they look at an email? Where should I focus my direct mail campaigns? If I'm sending out catalogs, how do I know where to send them? How do I know when to have my sales guy follow up? And so what I love about the technology is because it was designed to address specific problems that actual businesses were having, for us marketers who have to operate the machine, very straightforward. So I do not have to be an IT guy. No offense to the IT guys in the room. No offense. And no offense to the IT people. But he made it so that lay marketers can use the platform. So I definitely encourage you to go to net-results.com, read about it, get a free trial. That's what one of the benefits you got as part of coming here. So thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate it. Consulting perspective. So without further ado, Matt Given, Impact Street.
Okay, thanks, Joy.
Yeah.
It's 9:42 on Saturday morning, and so okay. I won't bore you with reading all that my commercial up there, but at Impact Street, what we do is we help companies, big and small, from a strategic perspective, implement marketing automation platforms into their businesses, and our projects kind of can fall into, one way to look at it is our projects fall into a couple different buckets. About 2/3 of the clients we work with, they literally have nothing. We're working on a blank canvas. And I don't mean nothing in terms of no business, no marketing, but they're new to marketing automation. So we're going in there and we're starting at a very sort of 101 level, getting them up to speed, working on their content, enabling the technology, helping to train and enable their people, their marketers. So they kick us out the door. And then about 1/3 of our projects are projects where a company has invested in a platform and they've just wrecked it. They didn't thoughtfully put strategy behind how to implement this platform, and what they end up doing is using it kind of like they invest a lot of money in these marketing automation platforms, and then they use it like Outlook, which is there's so much power and so much amazing results you can get out of these platforms if you really push them hard and you really understand sort of the levers and the strategy behind them. So one key distinction that we like to make with clients that we start to work with is this idea of plumbing versus architecture. So think about we're starting to learn how to build a marketing automation house, and what Michael's product does, it's a great sort of foundation, a great pipe to build on, great plumbing. And so it's the technology that actually enables these strategies to be executed. But then there's also architecture. So when you think about building a house, there's no way, would you hire an architect first or a plumber first? Right? There's no way you'd say, let's bring the plumber in and have him start laying pipes. He'd be like, well, okay, where do I start? So what we like to make a distinction of is that there's sort of a best and a worst way to implement marketing automation. It's just like any other technology or any other platform you might invest in to help your business. And so we are primarily architects. So we're primarily the function that would come in and look at a business and say, all right, how do we implement marketing automation into this paradigm of this business, this go-to-market strategy that is going to help them reinforce their marketing messages to the right segments, and then at the end of the day is going to generate leads for their salespeople that are just ultra closable, right? And I like to use this funny picture. If you invest in a marketing automation platform, these things are so powerful. They're so awesome. They do tons of stuff. Michael and Joy have talked about some of it. But if you don't really thoughtfully think about how you're going to use it, you've just bought a jumbo jet to drive to the grocery store. So, congratulations. I mean, it's a nice ride, but you just invested enough money for a jumbo jet, and you're going to drive to the grocery store with it. So, there we go. So what we want to do is, what I want to break down for you, and this is just real stuff that we use in clients big and small every day. So when we talk about what do architects typically produce in terms of, to help the builders build a house, they produce a blueprint, right? So when we go into a company and start to, what we want to do is kind of get the lay of the land, ask them lots of questions about their business, and then what we're going to produce for them is a blueprint for how they should implement this marketing automation platform. And so this is kind of a rendering of a typical blueprint, and it's sort of meant to be a little bit intimidating and confusing, but the point is there's lots of different ways that you can implement these platforms. And what we're going to do right now is we're kind of going to take these in sections, and we're going to go one by one, and we're going to talk about this section over here and what these entry points are, and then the way that you would build these different campaigns. And whatever platform you choose, whether it's Net Results or there's other platforms, all platforms can do this. And so this is sort of platform agnostic, although Net Results is a great platform. Let's kind of take these kind of one by one, and I'll just sort of walk us through this blueprint, all right? And then we'll see the different components and maybe some best practices on how we can implement them. So the first one we're going to talk about here is points of entry. And so you think about in our funnel analogy, so we got to dump prospects into this funnel, right? And so there's lots of different ways that prospects can get into our funnel. And so what I'll start with here is sort of top left, and I'll call them. And what we advocate is that words are important. It's important to understand the words that we use to describe things and what they mean. So top left, we have tagging campaigns and trigger campaigns. And so the difference here, tagging campaign is you've got this database already, if you've been in business for a while, of potential prospects, of leads that are in your database. Maybe you've met them somewhere, maybe you bought the list, maybe it's your newsletter list, so that you've got a list somewhere, right? And what we want to do is sort of start to, once we think about starting to interact with that list with a platform in a digital way, to start to have this digital conversation with them, is we want to tag them. So we want to send them an email, and we want to entice them to click on a link. And so when you think about how that tracking starts, technologically, we're going to sort of deposit a cookie when they click on that link. And so now we can track all this behavior. We can track, so if all these people over here are names in my list, and I've sent them newsletters before, but I don't know if they click on them, I don't know if they're on our website, I don't know anything else, I'm going to send you a tagging campaign. I'm going to build a tagging campaign to send to you guys and see if I can get you to opt in to my messaging. And now, once you opt in, so let's say you 4 people opt in, now I can track everything you do. I can track if you open up future emails, I can see if you're on my website. So that's sort of step one. That's how we get them in. So then we also have trigger campaigns. And so there's a distinction here, and that is these are lists that we might buy. So we might go out, let's say that we have a new product for CFOs of software companies or the buyers. And so I'm going to go out, and all you people over here are CFOs of software companies. So I'm going to go to a list broker, and I'm going to buy a list with emails of CFOs of software companies in Colorado, and I'm going to send you a trigger campaign, a trigger email. I'm going to try to send you an email with some sort of compelling offer or content and try to get you to opt in to my message. So this opt-in, so for this discussion, we're just going to say our goal is to get you to convert, to opt in, all right? So then we've got website traffic. Does everyone get the difference between tagging and trigger? Because words matter. Tagging is we've got these names already. Trigger is brand new lists, brand new people. Now the other way we can capture people and get them in is through website capture strategies. So you've heard the words landing pages, microsites, hypersites, and there's different ways to drive traffic to all these types of sites that we can capture people's names and emails. So think about Google searches, so if this is where you would incorporate like an SEO or an SEM type of strategy, pay-per-click. You talked about using different kinds of mediums. So in this case, you might send a postcard to a discrete list of people, and on that postcard, you might want to drive traffic to a landing page. So, and that landing page is tied specifically to that postcard. So once you get them in, you'll know exactly where they came from. Okay, so that's how you incorporate some of these different things. Social media like Twitter and Facebook and blogs and LinkedIn groups and stuff like that are great ways to think of ways to drive traffic to landing pages. So when you look at Twitter, like we have a Twitter account. Like I sit around in the morning and my wife and I are having coffee. I'm like, I just tweeted. She thinks I'm a total dork. But so when you think about how you use something like that, you should always be thinking about conversion. So you don't just like tweet to tweet or put something on Facebook just to put it on there. You want them to take a next step. So on a Twitter account, you might advertise a new blog entry you just did. And you take them over to the blog entry, and it might be the top 5 points or top 5 secrets to do something or about your product. So they read that, and then you're like, well, so look at the online demo of this idea, click here. And that click here takes them to a landing page, and that's where you can capture them. So that's how we view using this social media, is like it's a measure of conversion. You want more and more involvement as they get farther and farther down the line. But ultimately, you want to get them on your website, capture their information. Other ways to get people to opt into your system, events like webinars, trade shows, networking meetings, different areas like that. You can employ these platforms to get people to opt into your platform, and then face-to-face meetings. So sales guy, you always want to allow for the old school, sales guy that puts his hat on and walks down the street and meets people. You want to be able to allow that salesperson to opt people into your platform as well. So points of entry, make sense? All right, here's a couple quick examples. We talked about trigger and tagging campaigns. And so this is a client of ours that has a bank software. They have a software product they sell to banks. And so this is an e-card that we might send to a bank president or a bank CMO or the internet head at any banking organization. So we want to, here's our offer. We want to just drive them to this simple white paper, how to choose the right PFM solution for your bank. Download now. And that download now takes them to a landing page. We're kind of advertising the white paper again. A couple quick benefit statements over here. And then we're going to ask for their first name, last name, email address, and the company name. And so then when they put that information in, we send them a link in an email. They click it, and now we have them. Now we can see everything they do, and we can start this digital conversation, right? So there's all sorts of best practices around how you build these e-cards and build these landing pages to optimize conversion. We don't have time to do all those today, but we'll see. We'll try to get to some of them. So, those are our points of entry, all right? So we talked about, now we've got them. They're in our system. Now, if you remember back here, we just went over these. So this is ways we can get people in, that first conversion step. Now we want to look at where do we drop them, all right? They're not necessarily hot leads yet. We just kind of met them. We just started this relationship. So it's like, when you, you're not, well, I won't. When you first meet a girl or a man in a bar, you have to have a conversation before the relationship advances. So what we say is, let's build. Where are we gonna put all these new relationship type leads? So we like to build what are called long nurture campaigns, and so these long nurture campaigns deploy over a longer period. Like so for Impact Street, we have a 52-week long nurture campaign that is already pre-programmed into our own marketing automation platform. So when we just meet people, if we just get them to opt in, we don't know a ton about them yet. We don't know how to really tailor a message to them yet. They're in our long nurture campaign, and it literally happens automatically over 52 weeks. All right. And so if you look at some of the things, some of the kind of tricks about building long nurture campaigns, these offers are kind of generic to your products. And the way to do these offers is think about when you're walking down the aisle of the magazine rack at the grocery store, and think of how every single magazine, the above the fold is called, what do you see? The 5 tricks, the 10 secrets, the 5 ways to avoid something horrible. And so, so this is how we like to build these long nurture campaigns, the content for this long nurture campaign. 5 keys to generate more leads, 7 keys to lead nurturing webinar, 11 tips to turbocharge your sales. And so one of the things things that we do in clients is, we really look at their content. You have to think about writing your content differently when you do these types of things. You can't just write the brochure that has, your swag on there anymore. You have to do it so it's compelling. We like to say you have to make your prospects thirsty for your information when they read the headline. And you kind of have to, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. You have to trust, you have to give away some of your stuff. You have to trust that it's going to come back to you, right? You have to give away some of your secrets, okay? Another component about these long nurture campaigns to build them into these platforms, they're non-date specific. So that means, I might meet you today, or you might fill out one of my forms today, and I'm going to drop you in on week 1 of the campaign, right? And 3 weeks from now, you're at week 3. But then in that, Luke, I might meet you in 3 weeks. You fill out a form, but you have to start at week 1, right? So there's always, no matter when you come in, you always start at week 1. Does that make sense? And the whole thing goes out over 52 weeks. So that's our long nurture campaign. And it's just a way to start that conversation. And it's a way for us to start to understand and gather more information and understand what our prospects are interested in. So then from our long nurture, we can start to, once we start to understand more about our prospects' desires and interests, we can build what we call segmented nurture campaigns or segment-specific nurture campaigns. And so if you think about how this might happen, if I've got you in a long nurture campaign, and then every time you come back, one of the tricks is we're going to do what's called progressive profiling. So when you come back and you want to download the next webinar or download the next white paper, I already know your name and email address and what your company name is, but I might ask you, what's your title? And I just might ask you one little extra thing each time. So it's not offensive, it's respectful, and you're already kind of digging me, right? So you say, all right, I'll get, I found value out of that last piece of content. Now he's asking me for my title or for how big my company is, or do I have a project in place in this little area? So I'll tell him. And so then as I learn that stuff, my campaigns can start to adapt. And so think about how this might work in the technology. I'm going to turn you off of I'm going to take you out of the long nurture. Now that I learned that you're a CMO of a bank, I'm taking you out of the bank long nurture, and I'm dropping you into the CMO nurture. And now I'm speaking to you more one-on-one, right? Your very issues that are going on as a CMO.
When you're dealing with a product that's very simple and uncomplicated, do you still have this kind of long nurture campaign?
Well, we've built this type of architecture this is our starting point, no matter whether you're a B2C, B2B, simple, complex, consulting, services or products. Like, this is our starting point. We say, okay, now we're going to start here. We go literally in the order I'm going. Like, how do we drive traffic here? And then what do we do with those people once they show up? How do we nurture them along? And this whole big group of people that aren't ready to buy yet. And so that we found that very appropriate and very effective, regardless of the type of organization. So we're working with a company right now that's a $100 million software company. Each one of their projects is $2.5 million. So this is almost exactly a replication of their campaign structure. Right?
Matt, I want to make a point specifically about your product based on your presentation.
Sure.
Some people, you talked about a couple people had different reasons for wanting to buy. One might be, I travel a lot and I want to keep it in my suitcase. Another one you shared that I thought was so poignant was, I have small children and I don't want them to reach up and touch a hot styling product. So can you see how if each week you sent something a little, do you travel? Do you have small children? Are you worried about the safety of your home and bathroom? Like, you can kind of tailor several different messages over time to maybe see what's the one thing that they're like, oh, you know what? I do have a little 2-year-old and I never thought that she might reach up and touch it. So, I'm sorry, I just wanted, because I knew specifically about her. Please go on.
No. And don't be intimidated by this idea that, like, we have a 52-week long nurture. We started with a 3-week. All right, and then over time we just kind of developed other stuff, and like by the 3rd week we had one more to put in there, and then we went crazy and developed 3 in 1 week. So now we have 6-week one, and so it's not one of those deals where you have the whole thing doesn't have to be built before you sort of press the go button, and I'll talk about that a little later too. So the other thing to think about these segmented nurtures can take on any sort of segment that is relevant for you. So in this case, I have CMO, I've got like a title, I've got an IT director, I've got a product manager, but I also have like, what if the business is really, what if they're okay with generating leads, but they really want to develop their channel? Okay, so now if I understand that that's a way that a business might use my product, I'm going to develop sort of functional segments. I'm really interested in channel development. Well, now I can drop them into, if I see that over time, if I see my product or service being used like that over time, I can build that very segmented nurture program. All right? So you get a sense of how we're able to, over time, really start to develop that relationship. So now with any of these, we like to build what's called a fast track option. And so in my example of a long nurture campaign, and this can be true of segmented campaigns as well, if I can observe that you're really interested, if you're on my website and then you're downloading a white paper, and then I might say, okay, well, this is like where we become drug dealers. Right? It's like, you got to come back for more. If you're going to keep coming back for more, I'm going to keep giving it to you, and now I'm going to set it up so I'm going to give it to you faster. All right? So instead of doing my long nurture campaign where I wait 1 week in between each of these e-cards that I'm going to send out, or offers, maybe I'm going to notice that you're really interested, and so I'm going to reduce that time to 3 days. So my cadence is going to be higher. And so what I'm trying to do is adapt my program to what I'm observing of your behavior. All right? And I'm trying to sort of, I want my pace to mirror your pace.
Just a quick one. Are you still in tagging, or is this part of triggering?
That's an area where like you have to pay the price and you have to do that. The other objection here is, well, no, I don't need to start that now because none of my other competitors are doing that yet. And I would say that they probably are. Like, we've seen so much of an interest and an uptick in all sorts of different sectors for this stuff. So everyone's looking at it. And the other analogy I like to make is, like, in every race, so in every marathon, someone finishes first and someone finishes last. And so we're a year away from the marathon. So you get to decide right now, do you want to finish first or do you want to finish last? If you want to finish last, then start eating pizza and drinking beer and watching Law & Order reruns. If you want to finish first, start training, right? And so in this analogy, you can decide right now to finish first in your sector, and this is one of the things you can do to do that. So here's the 4 to remember. Think big and start small. You can build that whole big thing, and it's okay to start small. Architecture, then plumbing. So 2 points. If they visit 10 web pages in a single visit, it might be 6 points. Opens an email, attends a webinar. So those are behaviors we can observe, but we also want to build in demographics or explicit characteristics into our scoring model. So they're in the right job title, they've got a project in place, they're in the right industry. And so all that can be sort of added together, and you sum it up and you say, all right, our sales ready threshold is some number. All right, and there's all sorts of best practices to figure out about how many points should things be and such, but what you want to figure out is what that threshold is, and then when they hit that threshold, that's when they're ready for the conversation. All right, that's when, and this is when you can, when you think about routing them to sales, this is where you have some integration with a CRM, like a Salesforce.com or Sugar or any of those, or you can also do this very manually. You can do it so all the platforms and Net Results has it so you can email a sales rep a lead based on achieving a score based on the observations that we've made along the way. So now they're in sales, all right? So we've got this lead in the hands of a salesperson, and think about the couple of different outcomes that can happen here. So we could close that sale, right? Cha-ching. They could be removed from the program. So even like our best intentions, we could still end up with leads that are crap, right? That occasionally, oh, I'm a college student doing research for a paper, or I'm just looking for a job, or I'm a competitor of yours and I'm on your website checking you out. All this stuff is, could happen, right? So we still might be disqualifying people at this stage, all right? So, but then we want to think about what else could happen, all right? So our salesperson calls and says, we do our best, solution selling, we do a pitch, we try to sell them over the phone or in person or whatever. And they're like, well, Matt, sounds great, but you know what, I'm still not quite ready. My budget got pushed off. I've got some other fire I've got to fight. Call me in 6 months, all right? And so in the old way of doing things, we were so reliant on like our crazy salespeople to remember to call somebody in 6 months, and that either happened or it didn't, right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. With some salespeople, it does all the time. With others, they're dreadful at it, right? So what we want to do, what we want to be able to enable within this technology is like, what do we do with these leads that we didn't close that we may still have another shot at in the future? So what we've got some assets. So we've still got this long nurture campaign up there, right? And so why don't we just drop them back in, right? And so a lot of these platforms that will enable you to, enable a salesperson to drop a non-closed lead back into a nurture campaign. And then you sort of you hit the reset button, right? You wipe away the old score, and you sort of just do your thing all over again. You start to observe their new behavior. And so when they're ready, before we started using it this way, tell me if this has ever happened to you. Call me back in 6 months, and I think we'll be ready. So you're like, you put it in your tickler file, and then 6 months to the day, to the second happens, and you call them back, and they're like, we bought from your competitor last month. Sorry. Well, there you go. Crap, that's a bad day, isn't it? Like you got them all ready, and then they bought from somebody else. Okay, well, that's not their fault. It's your fault, right? Because you want to be able to keep that conversation going. So a recycle campaign, a sales recycle campaign is one you would build that enables a sales function, a salesperson, through a CRM or manually to route a lead back into a nurturing campaign. All right, so there's our picture again. We kind of went through all the different components as quickly as we could. But when you sort of pull up the hood of your marketing automation setup, these are all the kind of the different key things that you want to build. And we've done it so all we have, sometimes you just start with a long nurture campaign and then you kind of sit back and watch, right? You sit back and see, and then you start to understand the different segments that you can build in. But these are just sort of the key components that you're going to want to build into your system, right? And so another way to look at this, and this is sort of another take on this funnel idea, I'm just going to build this to save some time, is that one of the key things that we look at when we sort of start a project with a client, with big or small or whatever, is we want to understand the different stages that a prospect will go through before they buy, right? And there's some real key things to understand about this slide right here, and there's some real key areas where you can really screw things up fast. So one of the biggest areas is, where does this line exist? All right, so when should marketing hand a lead to sales? When is a lead sales ready? All right, and at the end of the day, we're going to build that into our scoring system, but the words we use is, on this side we've got a marketing qualified lead, and on that side we've got a sales accepted lead. So acceptance we chose that word purposefully. So I'm telling you, next week I'm going to DC, I'm doing this very thing. It's business therapy, because I got to get a marketing person in the room with a salesperson, and those two people have to agree on something. And you literally have to go so deep into what the buying cycle looks like, and you have to say, all right, when these things happen, Mr. Sales Guy, is that a lead? Well, no. Well, everything they throw me stinks, and so it's maddening. It's like it takes pints of Guinness to get through some of these conversations. But I tell you, the biggest problem with many companies that try to implement this technology is that they pass leads right here. They're like, okay, they fogged the mirror, so we're going to throw them to sales as a lead, right? But they're not ready yet, and we see it all the time. And so marketing is over here like, well, we produced 5,000 leads last quarter, and none of them closed. And the sales guy was like, well, you produced 5,000 crap leads last quarter, and my sales guys think you're a bunch of. So this whole, this line has to be well understood. It's one of the most important sort of setups or ways to think about these programs. And so the other thing that's important is you see these little door icons here on the top that exist between each of these stages. When you talk about what you want to report on and what you want to measure, conversion is key. So your campaigns, at the end of the day, the effect they should have on your pipeline is converting from this stage to this stage, and then from this stage to this stage, and so on and so forth. And so when we build dashboards for companies on how to measure the effectiveness, we focus on conversion, right? So we want to know how many people are here and how many people are here, and then we want to know the rate that we're converting from here to here. Because if we can affect that conversion rate, we know, and along down the line, then we know that this thing's working. And then the other thing is, you can if you do this reporting, you can tell. We call it that sometimes companies have a stuck pipeline, which means they're converting fine from here to here to here, but then there's somewhere in here that it's just stuck. And so now we're like, all right, that's good. We know where we need to do our work, right? And we know we need to build campaigns or build systems that are going to unstick that pipeline, right? And so, that's a really powerful way to look at it. So now I'm going to go through some objections that I hear every day about why people shouldn't do this. And then I'm going to overcome them right in front of you. So, but Matt, and this is one we hear in small companies. You don't understand our situation. We're busy. We got projects over here. We got stuff going on over there, and that slide looks really complicated. That looks like a lot of work, and we're just not going to be able to get to it. And so here's my response. And I went to college in South Carolina. So I say, hogwash. I said, that's like if I live in South Boulder, and if I wanted to take my family to dinner at Protos in North Boulder, and I said, all right, honey, well, look, that sounds good to me, but we're going to have to sit here until all the lights are green before we start. So that doesn't make any sense, does it? So when we start these projects, you don't have to have this whole thing built before you hit the go switch. Like I said, we had a 3-week long nurture when we started. right? And now we have a 50. So in by like somewhere around like 2.5 weeks, we're like, we better come up with the fourth one quick because we, what's going to start here. So this idea that you have the return on this investment, I can tell you, is significant enough that starting is worth it, even if that looks intimidating. You'll get there eventually. The other thing we hear a lot is about cost, and a lot of you have asked how much these sort of systems cost, and I would tell you that think of a cost of sort of access, which is anywhere from $99 a month up to some Fortune 500 companies will pay 10 grand a month to enable this entire thing, and they'll pay us another 15 or 20 grand a month just to manage it for them. So there's all sorts of ranges in the cost. One way that we try to get people to look at it is like, okay, you can hire a marketing person for 80 grand a year, or you can, pay us 25 and we'll build it for you, and then we'll teach you how to use it. So there is a significant return on this investment, but it is an investment in time and in money. The other thing we hear a lot is, well, I can't build that content that way. That sounds like a lot of writing. It sounds like I got to do a video thing. I've got to, the only thing I can say to that is it's worth it. That's an area where like you have to pay the price and you have to do that. The other objection we hear is, well, no, I don't need to start that now because none of my other competitors are doing that yet. And I would say that they probably are. Like we've seen so much of an interest and an uptick in all sorts of different sectors for this stuff. So everyone's looking at it. And the other analogy I like to make is like in every race, so in every marathon, someone finishes first and someone finishes last. And so we're a year away from the marathon. So you get to decide right now, do you want to finish first or do you want to finish last? If you want to finish last, then start eating pizza and drinking beer and watching Law and Order reruns. If you want to finish first, start training, right? And so in this analogy, you can decide right now to finish first in your sector, and this is one of the things you can do to do that. So here's the 4 to remember. Think big and start small. You can build that whole big thing, and it's okay to start small. Architecture, then plumbing. So, strategy. Think about how you want to use it. Think about your go-to-market strategy, and then there's different platform options out there. But the main point is like don't just start tinkering with the plumbing before you've really thought through the strategy. Define a lead. It's like the biggest like pitfall in these whole things is understanding exactly what a lead needs to look like, and then measuring those conversion points is the way. That's how you fine-tune the car, right? It's like that's how once you implement it, once you start looking at those conversion metrics, is how you can really get the thing humming. Any questions?
Keep questions a little short, and you can grab Matt at the break. I know that we've gotten a request for a break. So if we can maybe just take 3 questions now and then catch them on the break and try to keep your answers short.
Mine is very quick. What's the conversion from that initial trigger or tagging to people who opt in? What are the standards?
Well, it's a moving target, and it's different for every business. So, some people like to throw out numbers of like 3% or whatever, but it all depends on your offer. It all depends on how thirsty you can make them for your stuff. We did a tagging campaign that was very targeted to a group of Microsoft partners for a company that sells through Microsoft partners. And the offer was come to a webinar so we can show you about this new plugin for Visio 2010. This is too much technical, but we got 50%. So it depends on the segment and the offer and how old the list is and how good the list is and all that stuff.
Yeah, let me direct this to Joy if it's going to be later or non-relevant. But I'm concerned going to Constant Contact a lot. Troy, the legalities of the first time in. What you kept mentioning was we send out these little emails, etc.
We are going to talk hand spam, so I'm gonna put that question on hold because Corey's going to cover that.
That was the question.
So no problem on that. Yeah.
Oh, that list of behaviors where you add up a score, do you ever have the behaviors defined where you subtract from the score?
Do we ever have minuses in a scoring model? And the answer is yes. So a minus might be somebody spent time on your careers page.
Right, okay.
So they're a job seeker. So they're not a prospect. It might, and then you have minuses for inactivity. So let's say they were all over you for a week, and then they've gone away for a month. All right, so that's going to be that shows a level of uninterestedness that you want to account for in your model.
Seems to be your sweet spot for the size of companies. That it sounds like you do both small and large, and you can see.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we got three sort of tiers. We work with Fortune 500 companies. We work with mid-market companies, we call them, and that's sort of like 25 million to 250 million range. And then we work with small businesses. So.
Stop us now. Why don't we meet back here if you can get back here by 10:30.